Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. The evening air was crisp as the city of New York settled into its usual rhythm, the buzz of cars and the distant sound of footsteps filling the streets. Inside a small, upscale restaurant, the atmosphere was a stark contrast, a serene calm that felt almost too perfect. Every table was carefully set, glasses gleamed in the low light, and waiters moved about with an air of quiet professionalism. But not for Emma Brooks. She stood in front of the restaurant's glass doors, staring at her reflection, clutching her phone with trembling hands. The second-hand dress she wore clung awkwardly to her figure, and her shoes, well, they were a bit worn out. She wasn't sure she belonged in a place like this, but she'd promised her best friend, Jenny, that she would go through with this blind date, no matter how uncomfortable it made her feel. Taking a deep breath, Emma pushed the door open and stepped inside. The sound of muffled conversations filled her ears, the clinking of silverware barely audible beneath the low hum. As her eyes scanned the room, she felt the weight of every single pair of eyes on her. She could almost feel the judgment of the polished clientele around her. Table 7, she whispered to herself, trying to calm her nerves. Her heart raced as she searched for the man Jenny had set her up with. There he was, sitting alone at the back of the restaurant, absorbed in his phone. His dark hair was neatly styled, his suit sharp and perfectly pressed. He looked the part, exactly what she expected. "Hi, you must be Kevin," Emma said with a forced smile, walking over to the table. The man looked up at her, blinking in surprise. For a moment, his expression faltered, and Emma froze. He didn't look like he recognized her, or anyone, for that matter. Hi Emma," he replied slowly, confusion clouding his eyes. She felt. Her face turned bright red. "Oh God, I'm so sorry," she stammered. "I think I got the wrong table." She looked at her phone and realized her mistake. Kevin was at table 7, sure, but this wasn't him. The man smiled, his expression softening as he studied her. "It's okay," he said, chuckling lightly. "This happens more than you think." Embarrassed, but grateful, Emma decided to sit down anyway. Maybe he wasn't Kevin, but the awkwardness of the situation was already making her feel more at ease. "Blind dates are strange, aren't they?" she laughed, trying to break the silence. The man nodded. "Yeah, they definitely are." His tone was warm, even though he still hadn't fully recovered from the shock of the mix-up. "So what do you do?" Emma asked, eager to fill the silence. "I work in tech," he replied, not giving away much more. She laughed nervously. "Tech, huh? Apps, coding, all that." He smiled, a bit of amusement dancing in his eyes. "Something like that." They talked for a while longer, Emma rambling on as her nerves slowly started to settle. She found herself laughing at his dry humor, something she didn't expect from someone who looked so serious at first. But before long, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Jenny. "Hey, Emma, where are you? I'm at table 7. Can't wait to meet you." Emma froze. Her stomach dropped as she reread the message. "Wait a second," she whispered, looking up at him, her face flushing crimson. "You're not Kevin, are you?" The man's smile faltered, a flicker of guilt crossing his features. "No, I'm not Kevin," he admitted. "I'm Liam." Her embarrassment grew as she stood quickly. "Oh my God, I am so sorry," she mumbled, grabbing her purse and practically bolting for the door. Her face burned with humiliation as she fled into the night, the sound of her hurried footsteps echoing in the quiet street outside. Liam watched her go, a mix of regret and curiosity swirling in his chest. He had intended to correct her right away, but something about her was different. Something about her smile, her warmth, had made him hesitate. Why did it feel like he wanted to see her again? The next morning, Emma sat at the small kitchen table in her apartment, a cup of lukewarm coffee resting in her hands. She stared out the window at the busy streets of New York, watching people rush past as if they had places to be, while she felt like she was stuck in the same place. Her phone buzzed on the table, snapping her out of her thoughts. It was a message from Jenny. "Did you meet Kevin? How was it?" Emma sighed, rubbing her forehead as she recalled the night before. The mix-up, the awkwardness, the way she ran out of the restaurant like a total fool. She hadn't stopped thinking about Liam, though. He was kind, different from the men she usually met. There was something about him that made her feel comfortable, like she could be herself, even if just for a moment. She shook her head, trying to push the thought out of her mind. He was a stranger, after all. It didn't matter. But why did she keep thinking about him? Just as she was about to text Jenny back, her phone rang. Emma, the voice on the other end said, startling her. It's Liam. From last night. Emma froze. Was this some kind of prank? Liam? What? What do you mean? Yeah, the guy you thought was Kevin. I wanted to apologize. His voice sounded warm, but there was a hint of nervousness there too. I feel bad about how things ended. I was hoping we could meet up again, maybe have a real conversation this time. Emma's heart skipped a beat. Why would he want to talk to her again after the way she had acted? Sure, I guess so. When? How about later today? Just coffee, nothing fancy. I promise I won't make you run out on me this time. He laughed softly. Okay, sure. I'll see you later. She hung up the phone, her mind racing. Why was she even agreeing to this? Was it just out of guilt for running away, or was it because, well, she didn't really know why. But the idea of seeing him again, of hearing his voice again, felt right somehow. A few hours later, Emma found herself sitting in a quiet coffee shop, scanning the door every time it opened. She wasn't sure what she was expecting, but she felt a mix of nervousness and excitement. And then she saw him, Liam, walking through the door with that same warm smile on his face. He was dressed casually this time, in a simple button-down shirt and jeans, looking effortlessly put together. It made her wonder why she had ever thought of him as anything less than charming. Hey, Liam greeted her as he approached the table. I'm glad you agreed to meet up. I was afraid you were going to think I was some kind of weirdo. Emma laughed, trying to hide the awkwardness she felt. I wasn't sure what to think, honestly. But I guess I'm here, so let's see where this goes. They sat down, and Liam immediately started chatting about the most random things, his favorite coffee, a book he'd just read, the crazy traffic in the city that morning. It was so easy, so natural. And Emma found herself laughing more than she had in days. She couldn't remember the last time she felt so at ease with someone. They didn't talk about the mix-up from the night before, but it hung in the air, a quiet acknowledgement of the strange twist of fate that had brought them together. As they sipped their coffee, Emma found herself drawn into his stories. He wasn't what she had expected. He wasn't cold or distant like so many of the men she had met. He was real, and that was something she hadn't encountered in a long time. So, tell me more about yourself, Liam asked after a few moments of silence. You're a waitress, right? What else do you do? Emma hesitated, unsure of how much to share. But there was something about Liam's easygoing nature that made her feel like she could open up. I want to be an artist, she said quietly. I've always dreamed of opening my own art studio, but right now, it feels like a distant fantasy. I can barely make rent as it is. Liam nodded, his eyes softening with understanding. I get it, he said, his voice gentle. But if you don't mind me saying so, it sounds like you have a lot more to offer than just your job as a waitress. You're an artist, Emma. Don't let anything stop you from chasing that dream. Emma smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. For the first time in a long time, someone believed in her. Maybe it wasn't just the coffee making her feel light. Maybe it was Liam. The conversation flowed easily after that, and Emma couldn't help but feel like this wasn't just some random meeting. It was something more, something she hadn't realized she needed until now. She didn't know where this would lead, but for the first time in a while, she felt like maybe things could be different. By the time they finished their coffee, they stood up and walked toward the door. I'll see you around, right? Liam said with a hopeful look. Yeah, Emma replied, smiling shyly. I think I'd like that. As she stepped out into the cool afternoon air, Emma couldn't help but wonder what this unexpected connection could turn into. She wasn't sure yet, but for the first time, she was looking forward to finding out. Over the next few days, Emma couldn't stop thinking about Liam. After their coffee meeting, she felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, a spark of hope. The kind of hope that had been buried beneath the weight of her daily struggles for so long. She wasn't sure what to make of it, but she was certain of one thing. Liam was different. There was no pretense with him, no pressure, just genuine kindness, and that alone made her feel like she mattered. Liam, on the other hand, couldn't get Emma out of his mind either. Since their meeting, He found himself thinking about her constantly. He liked how easy it was to talk to her, how natural it felt to share pieces of his life with her. But more than that, there was something about her, something real and unpolished, and he found it refreshing. She didn't care who he was or what he did. She didn't ask for anything. He admired that. The next week, Liam invited her to an art gallery he was sponsoring. It wasn't a huge deal or anything. Just a small event to help local artists showcase their work. It was the perfect opportunity to spend more time with Emma and see where this connection might lead. Emma was hesitant at first. It wasn't like her to attend these types of events, especially when they were connected to someone like Liam. She had always kept her distance from people in his world. But there was something about him, something that made her want to take the risk. When she arrived at the gallery, her breath caught in her throat. The space was beautiful, with high ceilings and walls filled with stunning artwork. It was the kind of place she had always dreamed of, the kind of place she envisioned when she thought about opening her own studio. As she walked through the exhibit, taking in the work of the artists, she couldn't help but feel inspired. She realized she had never allowed herself to dream this big. Liam found her standing in front of a painting, her eyes locked on it as she took it in. He walked up beside her, watching her face light up as she studied the colors and brushstrokes. "Do you like it?" he asked softly. Emma turned to him, a smile spreading across her face. "It's beautiful. I've never seen anything like it before." "Yeah, it's one of my favorites too," Liam said. The artist has a unique way of capturing emotion in their work. They continued to wander through the gallery together, talking about the pieces, about their lives, and everything in between. It felt like time was slowing down, and Emma couldn't remember the last time she had felt so relaxed and at ease. Later that evening, as the event was winding down, Liam pulled her aside. "There's something I want to ask you," he said, his voice quieter now. "I know we just met, but I feel like there's something between us. Something real." Emma looked up at him, her heart racing. She wasn't sure what to say. She hadn't expected him to say anything like this. But in that moment, she realized that she felt the same way. "I feel it too," she whispered. Liam smiled, a genuine smile that made her heart flutter. "I'd like to see where this goes, Emma. I really would. No pressure, no expectations, just see where it leads." For the first time in a long while, Emma felt a sense of peace wash over her. She had no idea where this would go or what the future held, but for the first time in a while, she wasn't afraid to take a chance. As they left the gallery together, Liam's hand brushed against hers, and she felt a shiver run through her. She looked up at him, meeting his gaze, and for a moment, everything else in the world faded away. Maybe this was the start of something incredible, something she had only dared to dream about. But for now, all she could do was enjoy the moment, and maybe, just maybe, allow herself to believe that things were finally starting to change. As the days passed, Emma found herself spending more time with Liam. They met for coffee several times, chatted about art, dreams, and life, things she'd never felt comfortable discussing with anyone before. He didn't judge her, didn't pressure her, and somehow, that made her want to open up more. She felt a warmth when she was around him, like she could breathe easier, as if the weight of her everyday struggles didn't feel as heavy. Liam, on the other hand, was falling for her in ways he hadn't expected. He admired her honesty, her ability to laugh through the hard times, and her passion for something she hadn't yet fully pursued. But there was something else, something about her that made him want to protect her, to make her dreams come true. He had everything: wealth, status, influence. But Emma had something different. She had a kind of raw sincerity that he hadn't found in anyone else. And it made him realize how much he had been missing. One afternoon, Liam invited Emma to one of his business meetings. He didn't make it sound like a big deal. He simply asked if she wanted to come along. She hesitated at first. She had always kept her distance from people in his world. But for some reason, she trusted him. So she agreed. The meeting was held in a sleek, modern building downtown. The glass walls of the conference room offered a panoramic view of the city, and the long, polished table was filled with suits, all discussing serious matters. Emma felt out of place as she sat at the edge of the table, her eyes darting around. The conversation was a blur of jargon and figures, and she was glad Liam kept glancing at her, giving her reassuring smiles. After the meeting, as they walked out of the building, Emma looked at Liam. "That was intense," she said, trying to sound casual. Liam laughed. "Yeah, business can be like that. But you did great." Emma frowned. I didn't even say anything. You didn't have to, Liam replied, his tone sincere. Just being there, supporting me, it means a lot. Emma felt a knot form in her stomach. She wasn't sure why, but something about those words felt different from anything she had experienced before. He wasn't just being polite. There was something real in his voice, something that made her question everything she thought she knew about love and relationships. As they walked to the car, Liam stopped her. Emma, there's something I've been wanting to say. Emma turned to him, heart racing. What is it? He looked at her seriously, as if weighing every word. I don't want this to just be some casual thing. I'm not asking you to make any decisions right now, but I care about you. A lot. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She wasn't sure what to say. She hadn't expected this, hadn't expected him to feel this strongly so soon. Liam, I care about you too. A soft smile tugged at his lips. Good. The tension between them dissolved, and for a moment, the world around them seemed to fade away. It was just the two of them, standing in the street, with everything in the air between them left unspoken but understood. Over the next few weeks, Emma and Liam grew closer, and the bond between them strengthened. He began inviting her to more of his events, not as a date, but as someone he genuinely wanted by his side. Emma was beginning to feel like she belonged in his world, but there was still one thing she wasn't ready to let go of, the fear that this was all too good to be true. She had lived in a world of uncertainty for so long that she couldn't help but wonder if she was just a temporary distraction for him. One evening, as they sat together in a quiet park, Emma finally voiced her fears. Liam, I'm not used to this, to people caring about me like you do. I don't know if I can trust that it's real. Liam took her hand gently, his expression soft but determined. I'm not going anywhere, Emma. I want you to know that. This isn't just a phase for me. Emma looked at him, her heart fluttering in her chest. In that moment, everything she had been afraid of seemed to fade away. Maybe, just maybe, this could be the real thing. As they walked home that night, Liam pulled her close, wrapping his arm around her shoulders. She leaned into him, feeling the warmth of his presence, the strength of his commitment. She didn't have all the answers, but for the first time in a long time, she felt like she was exactly where she was meant to be. As the days turned into weeks, Emma and Liam's connection grew stronger. They spent more time together, and the distance between them seemed to close with every passing moment. They laughed together, shared quiet moments, and found comfort in each other's company. Emma had begun to believe in the possibility of something real, something lasting. But with every new step forward, the voice of doubt still lingered at the back of her mind. Was she just a passing distraction for him? Or was this something deeper? One evening, as they sat on the balcony of Liam's apartment overlooking the city, Emma could no longer ignore the questions swirling inside her head. She had been careful, not wanting to rush things, but now she felt an urge to know the truth. She turned to Liam, her heart pounding in her chest. Liam, I need to ask you something, she said, her voice quieter than usual. What are we doing here? I mean, really doing here? Liam glanced at her, his expression softening. He knew exactly what she was asking, and for the first time, he realized how much he wanted to be honest with her. There was no hiding, no games. He reached out and took her hand gently, his fingers brushing against hers as if grounding himself. Emma, he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. I know it might seem fast, but I've been feeling something for a while now. Us, it's not just some fling or distraction. I care about you, more than I've cared about anyone in a long time. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She had hoped for this, but hearing him say it out loud made it feel more real, more certain. Her doubts seemed to dissolve in that moment, replaced by the warmth of his words. But why me? She asked, almost in disbelief. I mean, you have everything. You could be with anyone. Why would you want someone like me? Liam looked at her, his gaze unwavering. Because you're real, Emma. You don't see me for my money, my status, or what I can give you. You see me for who I am, just a guy trying to figure things out. And that's something I've always admired about you. You're strong, you're passionate about your art, and you don't give up on your dreams. You inspire me, more than you know. Emma felt her chest tighten, the raw sincerity in his words making her eyes sting with unshed tears. I never thought anyone could see me like that, she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Liam smiled softly, brushing a lock of hair behind her ear. I see you, Emma, and I'm not going anywhere. She blinked, trying to hold back the tears, but a smile crept onto her face. She had waited so long for someone to see her, not just for what she did, but for who she truly was. And here he was, the man who had done just that. They spent the rest of the evening on the balcony, wrapped in conversation and the soft glow of the city lights. For the first time in a long while, Emma felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Liam's presence was comforting, his words sincere, and the connection between them undeniable. As the night stretched on, they made their way inside, and Liam offered her a seat at the dining table. He had been working on something and wanted her opinion. She sat down, intrigued, and watched as he pulled out a small portfolio. "I've been thinking about you," he said, his voice laced with excitement. "About your art, your dream. I want to help you make it happen." Emma raised an eyebrow, her curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" Liam opened the portfolio, revealing sketches, plans, and ideas. "I've been working on a project for local artists, an art gallery space, and I want you to be a part of it. I want to help you open your own studio, to give you the resources and support you need to make it a reality." Emma's breath caught in her throat. She had dreamed about this moment for years, but to hear it from him, to see the effort he had put into making it possible, left her speechless. Liam, I don't know what to say," she whispered, overwhelmed with emotion. "You don't have to say anything," he replied, his voice gentle. "I just want you to know that I believe in you. I believe in your talent, and I believe in us." Emma sat there for a moment, absorbing everything he had just said. It felt like a dream, like everything she had ever wanted was suddenly within her reach. And for the first time, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, this was her chance. Not just for her art, but for something more, something real. She looked up at Liam, her eyes glistening with tears. "Thank you," she said softly. "Thank you for believing in me." Liam smiled, standing up and walking over to her. He gently cupped her face in his hands. "You don't need to thank me. I believe in you because I see who you really are. And that's more than enough for me." And in that moment, Emma knew everything she had dreamed of, everything she had hoped for, was beginning to fall into place. And the best part? She wasn't doing it alone. She had Liam by her side, and together, they were ready to make her dreams come true. The following weeks were a whirlwind for Emma. Liam's offer to help her with her art studio wasn't just a gesture. It was a turning point in her life. She began to see everything differently, from her art to her future. She had always dreamed of having a space where she could freely create, but it had always felt like an impossible goal. Now, it was within her reach. With Liam's support, she started making plans, reaching out to local artists, and putting together ideas for her dream studio. But as the excitement of her new project began to settle in, another part of her life started to stir up emotions she wasn't quite ready for, her growing feelings for Liam. They had spent so much time together, building something real, and the connection between them had deepened. Emma found herself thinking about him constantly. She wasn't sure where things were going, but she knew she cared for him. But there was one thing that still lingered in the back of her mind, the question of whether this was all too good to be true. One evening, as they sat in Liam's apartment after dinner, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that she needed to address what had been weighing on her. She turned to him, feeling the tension build up in her chest. "Liam," she began, her voice soft but steady. "There's something I've been meaning to ask you." Liam looked up from the sketch he had been working on, his eyes soft and inviting. "What's on your mind?" he asked, setting down his pen. Emma hesitated, trying to find the right words. I need to know. What is this? What are we doing?" Liam's expression didn't change, but Emma could see a flicker of understanding in his eyes. He took a deep breath and stood up, walking over to where she sat. He gently took her hand in his, pulling her to her feet. "Emma," he said, his voice low and sincere. "I know we've moved quickly, and I understand your hesitation. But what I'm offering you isn't just a temporary thing. It's not just about helping you with your art. It's about something real. It's about us. I care about you more than I've ever cared about anyone, and I want this to work. I want you in my life, for more than just this project. I want to build something with you. Together." Emma's heart fluttered, and for a moment, she felt like the world had stopped around her. His words, so simple but so powerful, made everything fall into place. She had been so afraid of getting hurt, of trusting someone with her heart again. But with him, everything felt different. "I care about you too." Emma whispered, her voice trembling. But I've always been scared of things being too good to be true. Liam smiled softly, brushing a strand of hair away from her face. I know. I get it. But what we have isn't a fantasy. It's real. And I'm not going anywhere. The weight that had been hanging over her seemed to lift, and Emma felt the last of her doubts begin to fade away. She realized that she didn't have to be afraid of this. She could take the leap, trust in what they had, and see where it led. As Liam leaned in to kiss her, Emma felt a rush of emotions she hadn't felt in a long time. It wasn't just the kiss. It was everything that came with it. The trust, the vulnerability, and the promise of something more. Over the next few days, they continued to work together on her art studio. Every meeting, every decision, brought them closer. Liam was right there beside her every step of the way, offering his support, his encouragement, and his belief in her. But as they spent more time together, Emma realized that it wasn't just the studio that had become her dream. It was the life she was beginning to build with him. One afternoon, after a long day of meetings and brainstorming sessions, Liam took Emma out for a quiet dinner at a small restaurant by the river. As they sat across from each other, the soft sound of the water flowing nearby, Liam looked at her with an intensity that made her heart race. I've been thinking, he said, his voice calm but serious. About us, and about what comes next. Emma raised an eyebrow, intrigued by the sudden shift in tone. What do you mean? Liam took her hand across the table, his grip firm but gentle. I know we're just starting to figure things out, but I want you to know that I'm in this for the long haul. I'm not just helping you with your art or your dreams. I want to build a future with you. I want to see where this goes, with you by my side. Emma's breath caught in her throat. She hadn't expected this, hadn't expected him to speak so openly about the future. But as she looked into his eyes, she realized that the future he was talking about was one she could see for herself. With him, she smiled, her heart swelling with emotions she could barely put into words. I want that too, she said, her voice steady but full of emotion. I want to build that future with you. Liam leaned across the table, kissing her softly, sealing the unspoken promise between them. In that moment, Emma knew that whatever challenges they faced, whatever obstacles stood in their way, they would face them together. And for the first time in a long time, she felt like everything was falling into place, just as it was meant to. As the weeks passed, Emma and Liam settled into a rhythm. Their days were filled with work on the studio, but outside of that, they found time for each other. The bond between them grew stronger with each passing day, and Emma began to feel like she was part of something real. The doubts that had once clouded her mind slowly faded, replaced by a sense of certainty she hadn't expected. Liam was there, not just for her art, but for her. And for the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to believe in a future together. But just as everything seemed to be falling into place, a phone call shattered the calm. It was late one evening, and Emma was sitting on the couch, sketching some new ideas for the studio, when her phone rang. It was Liam's number, but when she answered, the voice on the other end wasn't his. Emma. The voice sounded distant, almost strained. Yes, who's this? Emma replied, confusion rising in her chest. It's Claire, Liam's assistant. We've had an issue at the office, and Liam's been asked to attend an urgent meeting out of town. It's a business thing. He'll be gone for a few days. Emma's heart sank. She hadn't expected Liam to be pulled away like this, especially not now. She had gotten so used to having him around, to sharing everything with him, that the thought of him being gone felt unsettling. Oh, Emma said, trying to hide the disappointment in her voice. I see. When will he be back? It shouldn't take too long, Claire said reassuringly. But I wanted to make sure you knew. He'll reach out as soon as he's free. Don't worry, it's just business. Emma hung up the phone, her mind racing. It wasn't like she didn't understand that Liam's work was important, but there was something about the timing that bothered her. She had grown so comfortable with the life they were building together, and now this sudden distance made her question things she had started to take for granted. The next day, she tried to focus on her art, but her mind kept drifting back to Liam. Was everything still the same between them? She hadn't heard from him since the night before, and the silence felt heavy. She tried to push the doubts aside, but they lingered, like a shadow that refused to leave. It was 3 days before Liam finally called. Hey, Emma. His voice was warm, but there was something in it that sounded off. I'm sorry for the silence. The meeting ran longer than expected. I miss you. I miss you too. Emma replied, her voice soft. Are you okay? It sounds like you're stressed. Liam let out a long breath. Yeah, it's been a lot. I'm just glad this part is over. I'm looking forward to getting back to normal, getting back to you. Emma smiled at his words, but the unease still lingered. She knew Liam cared about her, but this sudden shift in their routine, this sudden distance, was hard to ignore. I've been thinking, Liam continued, his voice more serious now, about everything. About us. And I want to make sure you know how important you are to me. These few days have been a reminder of how much I care about you, and how much I want to build something lasting with you. Emma's heart fluttered. She needed to hear those words, needed the reassurance, even though part of her still felt uneasy. I care about you too, Liam, she said, her voice steady but filled with emotion. I don't want to lose what we have. You won't, Liam promised. I'm not going anywhere. When I get back, I'll show you that everything I've said is real. You and me, together. That's what matters. As Emma hung up the phone, she couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and uncertainty. She knew he meant what he said, but she also knew that their journey was just beginning, and with it came the challenges of trust, distance, and the complexities of building a future together. But for now, as she sat in the quiet of her apartment, she allowed herself to believe in the promise of what was to come. After all, if their connection was real, and she believed it was, nothing could tear them apart. When Liam finally returned, it felt like a breath of fresh air. The moment he walked through the door, Emma felt the weight of the past few days lift off her shoulders. He was here, in person, and everything that had been hanging in the air between them suddenly seemed to fall into place. They spent the evening together, talking about everything and nothing. The small distance that had crept between them during his time away seemed to vanish in an instant. Emma found herself laughing again, feeling the warmth of his presence like she always had. But something had changed. It wasn't just the familiarity of their routine, it was the certainty that they were building something real, something lasting. Over the next few days, Liam was more present than ever. He helped Emma finalize the plans for her art studio, offering advice and support without hesitation. He was there at every meeting, making sure everything ran smoothly, and he never let her doubt that this project was just as important to him as it was to her. And with each passing day, Emma grew more confident in their future together. But even as things were going well, Emma couldn't ignore the feeling that something was still missing. There was a nagging thought that she couldn't quite shake, a quiet fear that lingered in the back of her mind. Was she truly ready for what was to come? For the life they were about to build together? One afternoon, as they sat in the park near the river, Emma looked at Liam, trying to find the right words. Liam, she started, her voice soft. I've been thinking a lot about us, about everything. And I just need to know, do you really see this going the distance? I mean, we've been moving so fast, and I just want to make sure we're both on the same page. Liam turned to her, his expression serious but kind. He reached for her hand, gently squeezing it. Emma, he said, his voice steady. I see us going the distance. I don't want to waste any more time. I want to build a life with you, no matter what challenges come our way. I don't have all the answers, but I know that I want to be with you, and I'm willing to fight for us. Emma's heart fluttered at his words. She knew he meant them. There was no doubt in her mind. But still, the fear lingered. She wasn't used to feeling this vulnerable, this open. But maybe, just maybe, that was the very thing that made this real. I don't want to mess this up, Emma whispered, looking down at their intertwined hands. I don't want to let fear stand in the way of something good. Liam lifted her chin gently, guiding her eyes to meet his. You're not going to mess this up, Emma. We're in this together. We'll figure it out as we go, one step at a time. His words were a balm to her anxious heart, and for the first time, she felt truly at peace. They had come so far already, and whatever came next, they would face it together. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the river, Emma leaned in to kiss Liam. The warmth of his lips on hers, the connection between them, felt like everything she had ever wanted. It wasn't just about the art studio or the life they were building together. It was about them, about what they had found in each other. And in that moment, Emma knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would always have each other. They pulled away from the kiss, both smiling softly. We're going to make it, Emma said, her voice filled with conviction. Liam nodded, his smile widening. Together, we will. And for the first time in a long time, Emma truly believed it. As the months went by, Emma and Liam's lives continued to intertwine in ways they hadn't imagined. The art studio was no longer just a dream. It had become a thriving space, filled with the creative energy Emma had always hoped for. She had the freedom to create, to explore new ideas, and to inspire other artists, all while knowing that Liam was by her side, supporting her every step of the way. Their relationship had grown stronger, more solid with each passing day. There were still moments of doubt, moments when Emma wondered if she truly deserved this happiness, but every time she looked at Liam, she knew she had made the right choice. He was her rock, her partner, and the love she never thought she'd find. One evening, as they stood in front of the studio, admiring the work they had done together, Liam turned to Emma with a serious expression on his face. "I've been thinking about something," he said, his voice soft but filled with intent. "About us. About everything we've built." Emma looked at him, her heart skipping a beat. "What is it?" she asked, her voice filled with curiosity. Liam took her hand, pulling her closer. "I know we've had our ups and downs. We've faced challenges, and we've learned so much. But Emma, I want to ask you something. Something that I've been wanting to ask for a while now." Emma's breath caught in her throat. She wasn't sure what he was about to say, but she had an inkling. She had felt it coming. The way he looked at her, the way he supported her, everything pointed to this moment. "Liam," she whispered, "what are you asking?" He smiled softly, his eyes full of warmth. "I want to spend the rest of my life with you, Emma. Will you marry me?" Time seemed to stop as Emma's heart soared. For a moment, she couldn't believe it. The man she had fallen in love with, the man who had believed in her when no one else did, was asking her to spend forever with him. She had dreamed of this moment, but never thought it would come true. Tears welled in her eyes as she looked up at him. "Yes," she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. "Yes, I will marry you." Liam's face lit up with a smile that could light up the entire room. He pulled her into his arms, holding her close as the weight of the moment settled around them. The city lights twinkled in the distance, and for the first time, Emma felt like everything was exactly where it was meant to be. As they stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, Emma realized that their journey wasn't just about the studio, the success, or the challenges they had overcome. It was about the love they had built. A love that had started with a small, uncertain step, but had grown into something solid, something lasting. And in that moment, she knew that with Liam by her side, there was nothing they couldn't face. Their future was wide open, filled with endless possibilities, and they were ready to embrace it, together. Emma had found her place in the world, not just as an artist, but as a woman loved deeply and unconditionally. And with Liam's hand in hers, she knew she had everything she needed to build the life they both dreamed of. As they walked back into the studio, hand in hand, Emma felt a sense of peace wash over her. She had finally found the home she had been searching for. It wasn't just a place, it was a person. And together, they would create a future filled with love, art, and all the possibilities that came with it.